What's up, everybody? It's Lou TV, a little college football chatter, a little bit of a depressing off season, just trying to keep it going here. Hopefully, getting some people that honestly want to talk it up a little bit. I get my fix in a little bit because I work at a college Wall of Fame. So when someone comes up to me and is like talking about, I don't know, Arkansas State, like they're fans, I'm like, oh yeah, Freddie Knighton, and you got Michael Gordon, and they're like, who are you? And so it gets me going a little bit, but. It looks like maybe Andrew's got a little bit of NBA in his life. Is that a Russell Westbrook jersey we're rocking over there?
Yeah, buddy. I try and save it for special occasions, but after last night's MVP performance, I figured that it was a good time to break it out.
Yeah, no better time for that. I think he was 1 point away, which is like not that cool of a record considering the lack of defense just in general in the NBA.
He
Also,
took 28 shots in like 20 minutes or something. Good for him.
he had like 23 points or something like that in the first 7 minutes of him playing. And Zach is wearing an Ohio State shirt. He's turned to the dark side, even though Ohio State's offense, or yeah, what is it? Boise State's offensive coordinator didn't want to go to Ohio State.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I got this shirt for free, and I don't. My wife doesn't let me wear it because she's an Alabama fan. So I'm
Ooh.
upstairs wearing the shirt.
I love hearing these obscure details about these people who don't exist.
Oh, well.
I think the best part is that I don't think I've ever heard her name or your son's name. Actually, I do know your son's name now because you named him after Kellen Moore. And besides that, I would never know, and that obscurity is amazing. I love it.
Well, you know.
But anyways, I think we're going to talk some college football in terms of position battles. We got about, I think, 6 or 7 lined up for tonight, including some that are going to be impacted by some freshmen. We got, maybe at the end we can talk a little bit about total wins for MLB, which just popped up on my timeline today. I don't know if you guys are interested in that at all. Is there any interest for that, guys?
I'm a big MLB fan. I guess the biggest sign for me that we're getting out of the dark ages, though, in terms of college football timeline throughout the year, is that we're starting to see like legitimate news. Like it's not quite spring ball yet for most teams. And those spring ball schedules are like some of them are done before other teams even start. There's like no unity whatsoever. Like which is strange. But like I'm starting to see all these games getting rescheduled to like get highlight teams in prime time or whatever. Like Marshall is playing their first game of the year. They moved it to a Sunday instead of a Saturday, which is awesome. Like if we could fill every day from August to December with at least one game, I think that's the goal. One of these seasons,
Yeah, I just saw that news today. I think that was on College Football Talk. They announced that Marshall Purdue would be playing a day later than originally planned. I didn't buy like the whole reasoning of, hey, at least they get on big TV and they can beat a team like Purdue that's representative. It's a representative of the Big Ten. They kind of made it seem like, hey, if they go 13-0 again, this win over Purdue will mean something. And I'm sorry, it will mean nothing because Purdue is Purdue. So, all right, first. What's
It's gonna
up?
be great when they have a quarterback coming in. They're gonna whack Purdue by like 30 points.
And a new receiver. They're going to be a missed combo there, even though Tommy Schuler, Raheem Cato wasn't really a thing until about halfway to 75% of the way, or maybe really just the bowl game. But
Yeah, it was like the last 4 or 5 games. Schuler decided he wanted to play. It's like,
what were they doing? I mean, Tommy Schuler was unstoppable, and Raheem Cato, it wasn't like Northern Illinois was that bad of a team.
Well, I was so upset because he could have been the first receiver ever with 3 seasons of 100 receptions, and he had first 6 games he probably had 30 catches, if that. So it really put him way behind. I was really upset, and that shows you how sick I am that I was keeping track of his receptions.
Well, hey, I know Adam was keeping track of Justin Hardy's receptions, so you're not alone in terms of sickness.
Yeah, but isn't he's an ECU fan though, so that's a little different.
That's true.
Yeah.
You're just a made-up player fan, and your made-up player had evolved into the highest level of Pokemon at that point.
And as a matter of fact, he was 8 short at the end.
But to be fair, he had 22 catches in his final game. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd be 8 short too if I had 22 in my final
They
game.
were trying to get it. I think they realized that, hey, you can get 100 if we throw you 40 passes.
It almost worked. Speaking of 40 passes, right out of the box. I think we go Baylor quarterback situation. Bryce Petty is gone. We get Antoine Goodley gone. A bunch of returning talent there, though, with receivers, which we can get to in a minute. But I want to talk quarterbacks. The guys throwing it to Katie Cannon and Corey Coleman. There's somewhat of a battle. I didn't think there was going to be much of a battle, and then I read an article yesterday on a guy named Jarrett Stidham, a four-star dual threat receiver or quarterback from, I believe it was Texas. He was signed to Texas Tech, turned it down, and decided to go to Baylor. And then a guy named Chris Johnson. Andrew, you were talking to me about him. And then finally the guy that tore up Northwestern State University for 100 touchdowns, Seth Russell. So going into this, I always figured Seth Russell. Andrew, you said something a little bit about Chris Johnson. Do you know anything about this Chris Johnson fellow other than he shares a name with a third baseman from the Braves?
Not really, dude. He was he was a top 300 recruit, but I think he was between like the 250 and 300 range. I can't remember if he redshirted this past year or the year before, but I mean he's got a couple of years in the system. But they say he's going to be in the competition, but I mean everybody's competing for jobs at the start of the spring, so it probably doesn't mean much. I mean I don't think you can give him much more than a 10% chance.
Yeah, I think if you had to ask me, he's got the career 100% completion rate. He did tear up Northwestern State to begin the year. But, I mean, Seth Russell, for me, I think the thing to get out of here is that it's his job. I don't think anybody could come in immediately and take it away from him. You have two guys that I'm sure were highly recruited. I know Stidham was. I don't know Johnson's background in terms of recruiting. But, I mean, can you really pass up on a guy like Seth Russell with the stats that he's put up? The fact he's been in the system for a few years now. Andrew, do you think that this is one of those situations, or I'm sorry, Zach, do you think this is one of those situations where you just go with the incumbent, the guy that's been there for a while, or do you think that there's really a chance that this freshman comes out of the box? And,
I mean, I think what we've seen with Baylor the last, 2 or 3 quarterback transitions, it's kind of been just the next guy inherits the team. And I kind of expected the same way with Russell, just kind of taking over, and then the other two kind of battling out for the backup position. But again, I don't know. They have a lot of talent on this at quarterback because Chris Johnson was an ESPN 300 recruit. He was actually 180. I'm looking at it right now. He's 6'4", 210, dual threat. So he's obviously rated highly. So, I mean, he's in the system. He knows the system. Why couldn't he win the job? But if I had to put my money on it, it would be Russell.
I think that's a safe bet. And one thing to note is that Kendall Briles is the new offensive coordinator for Baylor. As we all saw in the Michigan State game, they passed it 51 times. Like Shock Linwood had a pretty solid year, and he only ran it 11 times. They just were passing, and honestly, Michigan State was down by a couple touchdowns there towards the end. I think it was 20 points at one point. And they just kept passing. So I think this is going to be an offense that obviously you always want to hit on and try and target, especially in season-long drafts and in fantasy or daily fantasy. But I think even more so with Kendall Briles, he looks like the pass-happy 25-year-old, like the pass-happy almost 8-year-old on Madden that just never wants to run out the clock. One thing to note, Bryce Petty only, I think he was through it 50-plus times just one other time besides that bowl game. So there's a good chance that we see a Baylor team that throws even more than ever this upcoming season. And, I mean, you couldn't really have a better group of guys to throw to. You lose Goodley, but you have Katie Cannon, your boy, and the best Twitter football player in America, Katie Cannon, and then Corey Coleman as well. We kind of chatted on Twitter the last few days about that situation. Andrew, do you think one has a leg up on the other, or are you just going to go Katie Cannon bias from here on out?
I love KD, buddy. But I mean, I guess it comes down to value if you're picking from a season league perspective. But I don't think they'll go more than a couple rounds apart. But that being said, I feel like KD will probably throw up some duds throughout the year, whereas Coleman will be more consistent. But if I'm trying to look for a GPP play on any single day, KD's the guy who can go for 11 and 300 with 3 TDs. Whereas I think Coleman's kind of more of the 150 to 200 are obviously still amazing. Like, we're talking about two guys who are probably going to be top 10 receivers in all of D1 football. So it's kind of splitting hairs, but I think at the end of the season, Coleman will probably have better like seasonal top totals.
Zach, are you agreeing or disagreeing or?
No, I agree with that. I mean, I think Corey Coleman's he's the consistent performer. Katie Cannon's that. I don't want to say he's hit or miss, but he hits more home runs, I'd say, than Corey Coleman does.
Yeah, I definitely see where everybody comes from with this. I mean, he had 64 catches, Corey Coleman did last year, and he had 27 of them in 2 games. I think he's a little less consistent as people realize, and I think Katie Cannon, the fact that he was behind Coleman and Goodley, gets a little less of that consistent look. I mean, the guy was the 3rd or 4th target, and I mean, they weren't pass happy throughout the season completely. Bryce Petty had what we would consider a down year for him, especially compared to 2 seasons ago. I think Cannon is a taller receiver, surprisingly, with more speed. I don't know. I could see Katie Cannon being, if I had to rank receivers right now, I'd probably rank Katie Cannon in like the top 6.
But, like Corey Coleman didn't play the first 3 games either. Like,
That's true.
I mean, you could say, he wasn't consistent. Whatever. He led the team in catches, and he didn't play in the first 3 games. So,
yeah, and Katie Cannon was only, I think, 5 to 10 catches behind him, and he played in. He was like the.
He played in all 13.
He played in all of them, but he was the 3rd or 4th receiving target for. I think you can see it both ways. I definitely think you can. Coleman seems obviously has more experience.
But why can't they both be wide receiver 1s?
I mean, they can be if Kendall Bryant.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think you really have to pick one over the other. I think they're that similar in my opinion. I would if I had to pick one, I think I'd pick Coleman in a seasonal league, but that would just. And if I wouldn't be upset if I didn't get him if I could get Cannon. I mean, you know what I mean?
Definitely. Which one do you think will be drafted higher in season-long leagues, Corey?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Major, you think it's got?
Yeah,
now,
I think Corey goes off the board. Great receiver.
Now, in dynasty formats, I think it's got to be Katie.
Yeah, it's got to be Katie in that. Definitely think that it's an intriguing topic, and I wonder if we'll ever get any clarity before the season. Probably not, especially when we're considering it. They're going to be 1 and 2, no matter how you look at it going into the season. I don't think we're going to see a difference between who's going to be 1, who's going to be 2 until we start seeing him play. And honestly, last year was one of the hardest Baylor predictable seasons because 2 years ago, Antoine Goodley was a lock for 8 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown every single week. This past year, there was a lot of Goodley getting some 10-catch games. Coleman had his days, especially against Oklahoma. That was one of the most unbelievable receiving games of the season. And Cannon coming out of nowhere with everybody healthy for an unbelievable game against Michigan State. So it's going to be interesting, and I think I would feel a little bit better if Seth Russell had a little more accuracy or some of these other guys had a better, had actual game experience, but I think in the end, this whole situation will play itself out pretty fine.
That offense, like we've seen historically, like the past 5 years, that offense supports 2 receivers pretty easily. I mean, so it doesn't support 3. Like, just going back a few years, when you, if you're in a season league and you're scoping the wire looking for that 3rd Baylor receiver, I mean, that guy's not going to be giving you consistent points, but the top 2 always pretty much do. Like, there's room for 2 1,000-yard receivers, no problem in that offense.
All right, so a couple of these ones down, position battles. I'm writing an article / getting it posted in the next few days on Lou Dogs about the Auburn Tigers offense, led by the Jeremy Johnson, who I described as a possible. Actually, my hot take of the day yesterday was that he will be a top 10 draft pick next season. I mean, the guy, it's like reincarnate Cam Newton. He's 6'6", 230, so he's probably about 10 pounds less than what Newton was. He doesn't run it, but he's got enough of the wheels. I'm curious to see how they do the whole goal line situations, and that'll play a huge impact on this next battle we're going to talk about here, the Auburn running back situation. it could be between about 4 or 5 guys. I don't think with the leading rusher being a receiver, Ricardo Lewis, I think everybody has a chance, especially with the way Auburn recruits. But I think we'd have to agree it's down to the JUCO transfer, Javon Robinson, and one of the best running back names in America, Rock Thomas.
Yeah.
We saw a little bit of Thomas last year. He averaged 5 yards a carry. He had 200 total rushing yards. Did we see anything in those games, Andrew, that you really liked, or was that such a garbage time type position that you can't take a whole lot away from it?
I don't think it was garbage time. He got, for a few games late in the year, I think against Texas Tech, Texas A&M, and I forget the other team. But down the stretch, he was getting maybe 40% of the carries with Artis Payne, obviously getting the bulk of the load. But, they were putting up pretty similar stats during that time. I think he just kind of got in doghouse by fumbling away a few possessions in key situations. So I think that's why his yardage total is so low. He didn't see any playing time at the beginning of the year. There was about a 3-game stretch in the back end where he saw significant playing time, and then they really just stopped giving it to him because he had fumble issues. But I think he's as talented and looked as good as Cameron Artis Payne, which I don't know what that's really saying, because it's not like Payne was breaking 30 yards, but he was good. He was serviceable. He put up good numbers, but he took 25 carries to get there, which, if Thomas got the same workload, I would expect similar results. The question is, does Robinson have that insane ceiling that, Trey Mason had?
Right.
Do you have any takes on this, or you want to let me take over?
Well, I'll just say, I think we might be stressing a little too much about the Auburn running backs, because from what I understand, they want to throw it more to utilize Johnson. And if we're sitting here thinking they're going to hand the ball off 40, 50 times a game, I don't know if they will.
Well, I think the big thing to think, I kind of talk about in the article is, I think the last 2 seasons they've run about 910 plays and 990 plays, and realistically, between the top 3 runners, they encompass about 500 rushing attempts out of the 600 they pretty much average. You're not going to get more than 100 rushing attempts out of Jeremy Johnson. I would expect him to get 100. That's a little less than 10 a game. That's probably about 8 a game. So you're looking at 450 carries if they continue to, or 500 carries if they continue to run the way they do. I don't think that happens. Like you said, they want to pass it more, and I'd say in the article they want to pass it more. Jeremy Johnson, Duke Williams, and I believe they have a JUCO transfer from the same school as where Duke Williams went, and coming in. And they got a lot of receiving talent, really, that you don't know about. Serviceable, but you never knew about it because of Nick Marshall. But I think they're going to run it 400 times, and that means about 300. You can get 280 out of Javon Robinson. That guy is huge. He's probably the most comparable running back to the last successful Auburn guys in Trey Mason and Cameron Artis Payne. He's like 5'11", almost 230, so pretty big back. Like you said, Andrew, Cameron Artis Payne didn't have those big runs. He just took a lot of carries to get him his 1,600 rushing yards. So do they run it a bunch? I still think they do. If they average what they've been averaging, I think they have to have a 250, 280 yard or carry guy.
But let me ask you this then: do they have one guy take the bulk, or do they just split it, or just ride the hot hand? That's kind of what you got to be afraid of, because they're overhauling their offense basically.
Yeah. I think they have to go one guy in bulk, because the last few seasons, the 2 running backs have been Corey Grant and a big running back. Corey Grant was a speedster that could go out wide on the jet sweeps and stuff. Robinson is obviously not that guy, and Rock Thomas is not really a 4-4 runner. He's a 4-5 runner, and I think in that situation you just give it to the best guy and let him run it all. And I think it's going to be Javon Robinson. He's the most comparable to what they've had. He had almost 2,400 rushing yards in JUCO his freshman year with 34 touchdowns. And, he was actually, I didn't know about this until I researched him. He was at Auburn for 3 practices before grade issue. A counselor made up a grade, and he had to transfer to Georgia Military College. So that's a little bit of a fun fact there. And I believe he's been practicing since bowl games. So he's getting practices in. But like you said, Zach, a brand new offense for him. Andrew, any final thoughts on the position battle? You think one or the other, or do you think we got to wait till end of spring battle?
I think by the end of the year it shakes out in Robinson's favor, but kind of like with Trey Mason when he transferred in from JUCO, he really took a little while to grab that role fully. So I think we could see some of that, some split time early in the season.
Yep. Trey Mason and Kevin Payne have been the leading rushers in the SEC the last 2 seasons, so they'll have to replace somebody there, and hopefully, in my opinion, Robinson, maybe an early pick in our dynasty draft. I have the 4th pick. It could be Javon Robinson. We don't know.
Yeah, that's why the draft's not until like a week before the season starts. That way we have all that time for it to shake out.
Thank God. I'd hate to waste a pick on a guy like Kyle Allen or something. But anyways, a guy who could be picked early too here. I don't need the quarterbacks in my dynasty league, but Vernon Adams at Oregon seems pretty juicy. He's got a little bit of a battle here with Jeff Locke and then a couple other guys for the Oregon QB job. Zach, you're out. You're one of those West Coast type fans. I know Andrew is too. I go to sleep at night, so I typically miss all these games. Jeff Locke's been the experienced backup. Vernon Adams is the star from Eastern Washington who is dominated the Pac-12 the 2 times he's played them. Zach, can you talk a little bit about Vernon Adams for me?
I really like Vernon Adams because if you watched Eastern Washington like I have, they run the spread offense. It's suitable basically, what he's going to come do at Oregon. Maybe a little more running at Oregon. But I think that if there were a team in college football for him to go to, that was the one. I mean, maybe Ohio State, but obviously they don't need any help at quarterback. But honestly, I kind of want to defer this opinion to Andrew because I don't think he is so high on Adams like I am.
Well, when I make these absurd claims to you guys in our chats, they're not with any factual information. It's just me kind of being a jerk. But since you've actually watched Adams before I give my opinion on, is he a strong thrower? Is he a better runner? Like, who would you compare him to in current NCAA D1?
Current NCAA, I don't know.
I've heard a comparison that size-wise is the same, probably the same mobility, and I don't know about throwing. And it's Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson. That's who I was thinking. And he might be I don't want to say a better passer because Russell Wilson was pretty damn good. I think that's pretty spot on as far as just comparing somebody. But currently, I don't know, man. I think Mariota might have been the guy to compare him to.
Yeah. All right.
I don't think Adams. Go ahead, Andrew.
I'll probably end up eating my words on how I thought he might transfer in and might not actually win the job. Because, I mean, Jeff Locke, that guy's a caretaker. Like, he's not going to lead an explosive offense, Like, he's there. He was recruited to mop up in the 4th quarter and hand the ball off. And he does that well. He does a good job of saying hike and then handing it off.
Because he looked scared for his life.
So, I mean, good for him.
Locke, I think you're exactly right on Locke, and I think personally it's the Vernon Adams' job to lose. Locke was the 2-star recruit out of high school that was there really to back up Mariota, like you said. I think Vernon Adams is the perfect guy to replace Mariota. I mean, I've actually read that he has said stuff about having trouble seeing over the offensive line.
That's all that too.
I've seen that he is an unbelievable scrambler. He's a good runner, but I think he's more just the fact that he's a good a guy that can get away from defenses, and I don't see why he wouldn't win the job. He threw for like 5,000 yards almost last year. He was the Walter Payton Award winner one year. In the back, he was the second-place guy the one other year, something like that. The guy has been unbelievable. In worst-case scenario, he's going to put up huge numbers against Oregon State and Washington, who I think he's combined for like 900 passing yards and 11 passing touchdowns against those 2 teams in his career. Washington Husky fans.
What about Morgan Mahalik, though?
I don't know much about Morgan Mahalik. You're going to have to explain him to me.
He's got a cool name. He was a 4-star recruit. who I mean, it's Oregon, so you don't actually know, but like his arm was in a sling all year, so he probably didn't even get that many practice reps. But I actually I actually was looking to add him in one of my leagues during the 2014 season as a potential replacement for Mariota. So I did some research. Like I don't know, everybody's high school tape looks good. So I mean, unless you're one of these guys like scouting high schoolers, like dude, I don't want to be that guy. But I don't know. I don't want to rule him out. Like I'd give him a better chance than Lockie.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Lockie. I thought originally Lockie would be the guy just because he's the next one up. But the more I look at him, the less I'm impressed with anything that he does. I think could he be the quarterback for Oregon and then they win 8 games? Sure. I mean, I don't see. I mean, with their talent around him, definitely. Does Oregon go into the season putting a guy in that they think can win no more than 9 or 10 games for him? That's not going to be the case. They're going to go with the guy with the most potential. And besides Adams, it's probably one of the 2 younger guys. Might not be the guy that was in a sling with the cool name, but it could be a guy like you said in Twitter earlier, Travis Waller.
I was thinking maybe they just play Adams this year, knowing he only has 1 year, redshirt Waller, and then let Waller just win that job the following year. And my boy Morgan just never sees the field.
That's kind of how I'm thinking it's going to play out.
Yeah.
Because why would he come to Oregon to have to battle for a job?
Why Jake Coker go to Alabama, dude?
But he had 2 years. He had 2 years to do it, though. Even if he didn't win it this year, he has a chance next year to have that job.
Fine. Fair. I forgot about that.
Yeah, but I don't think Vernon Adams was signed by Oregon with 100% intent by the college, Helfrich saying, yeah, you're the quarterback any more than my college coach when he recruited me saying, yeah, you're going to be the catcher. Like, I don't think there's any difference in that situation. I don't think, college coaches are. They'll say anything to get you in the
Right.
door and in the room to, to come play. And then if you can't
Did they tell
win
you
the
any
job,
good lies?
What?
Did they tell you any good lies, bribe you with drugs or women, or no?
We don't have women in Blacksburg. No, you know what we do, but they're the northern type. They're a little bit different than these southern folks down here. There's no lies, but they're all like super nice to you, right? They're like, oh, great to see you. They're cool. They're joking with you, and then you get on campus, and then they're like sergeants in the army or something, and you can't say anything for the most part. But
I guess my point was, though, like, I feel like somebody's going to have to completely wow the coaching staff for Adams not to have that job.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's Adams' job to lose, and I think somebody is going to have to look like a 5-star player to get that job.
Yeah, and I think if that does happen, we'll hear about it. I don't think a guy passes Adams without us knowing blatantly.
It's Oregon. We would not hear about it until 2 days before the season.
It's not like Europe. It's not like Europe where like the big movie right now in Europe is Twilight. Okay,
but they didn't even announce Mariota until like 3 days before the season.
Well, this wasn't this past year, so. I mean, 3 years ago, right? He just had one of the most amazing careers, but
I hear what you're saying.
I don't know. Oregon, you're right. Oregon is out in the boonies a little bit, but speaking of boonies, Zach, it's your obligatory Boise State question. You wanted to talk Boise State quarterbacks. The next time we'll talk about Boise State running backs.
Sweet.
Zach, who's replacing Grant Hedrick? There's a lot of question marks in an offense. We got to replace Hedrick. We got to replace Shane Williams-Rhodes.
No, you don't.
Not Williams-Rhodes?
No.
Nice. Less question marks. All right. And then we got to replace Jay Ajayi, unless something changed. Did anything change?
I mean,
I wish he'd be back, man. That guy was awesome.
You got to replace Matt Miller, but I think they kind of did that.
Yeah, they did that.
Yeah. But anyway, as far as quarterbacks go, you had Ryan Finley. He was a freshman last year, and he stepped in, I think, in a game against Air Force when Hedrick had thrown 4 interceptions or something. So they yanked him, and then from that point on, Hedrick pretty much dominated the schedule. But I think this year it's going to be a little different because they got a 4-star depending on what site you look at. 4-star freshman. Blank his name. Rippon is his name. He was I'm trying to think. He's from Washington, I believe, and I think he's gonna probably win the job. Like Finley's there, but I think it's Rippon's job to lose as a true freshman.
You think a true freshman could come out into the blue Smurf turf
I
and
think
rule the world as the quarterback?
I think so. Why not?
The head Smurf?
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I could tell you I knew anything about this situation.
Is that more of an indictment on Finley and the other quarterbacks than it is saying anything on Ripien?
Well, no. I watched Finley in the little time that he played, and he looked pretty good. But how much of that was, this is my chance to take an opportunity and make it, become the starter? When I don't know. He made some good throws, but it's tough to make that call in a half.
Well, plus his talent around him was amazing. I mean, if you have Jay Ajayi and you have was Matt Miller at healthy at that point?
I don't think so. I think he was hurt.
Poor Matt Miller.
Poor Matt Miller.
I know.
There's too many Matt Millers in this world. Isn't there a Matt Miller rapper and a Matt Miller scout guy?
Yes.
What's the diagnosis on Matt Miller here in the draft? Is there any chance Matt Miller becomes the next Megatron?
Next Megatron?
I mean, I'm picking a name out of the hat. I choose Megatron. Any chance?
I choose Michael Campanaro for him.
At least choose a tall receiver.
Yeah, Matt
He's
Miller's
a little tall.
bigger.
But he plays that white dude role well, though.
Yeah, possession receiver. He's going to catch everything you throw to him. He's not going to outrun anybody.
He's gritty, works hard.
Yeah. I think if he gets drafted, it's late, like 6th, 7th round.
But what is he, like 6? Isn't he like 6'4"?
6'3", yeah.
DC Coop or D Coop is on the ball today. He's talked about Jeremy Johnson in the chat. He said McNicholas is the best Boise skill player, and he says, he corrects me, Mac Miller is the rapper, not Matt Miller. My bad. I'm a little off on my rap game. But really quick, since he mentioned McNicholas, a.k.a. Jeremy McNichols, What do you think his role is? We tried to hype him up. We tried to give him that Christian McCaffrey type juice hype train going last year, but it didn't work. Do we think there's an actual Jeremy McNichols sighting this season, Zach?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think you could see that near the middle, toward the end of last year. They were trying to integrate him a little more, probably to prepare for this season. The only other guy I could see maybe getting some time would be Jack Fields. He'd be competing for that job. They're similar size.
Is McNichols like a 20 carry guy?
I don't know. He was a true freshman. So
if you don't know, who's gonna know?
You got me.
He needs to go back to the playbook and create a Boise State player, and then before the next show, that's what he needs to do.
I mean, I think Jack Fields, like, they've been wanting for him to be the running back for so long, but like
it's never happened.
Ajayi happened.
Well, yeah, that's fair. And I remember you talking about Ajayi.
The hell was that?
I don't know. I remember you talking about Ajayi being almost kicked out of Boise State. Can you briefly tell us a little bit about this occurrence his freshman year?
Yeah, he was a freshman, and I think he stole some laptops out of a dorm or something like that. And I think he got suspended like the whole season for that.
What is it with college football players and laptops?
I don't know. I feel like there's better things to steal, but hey, that's just my opinion.
What is it specifically with these college football players stealing laptops, and then that makes them a great college football player? Okay, because I believe, wasn't it Cam Newton did that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you look across the board, we got 3 or 4 athletes stealing computers, and they're all amazing talents.
I take that back. I don't think he stole laptops.
Well, that just totally disproves my theory.
It's even better. It's
stealing
even better.
laptop guys.
It's even better. Oh my God, it's even better. He stole a pair of sweatpants from Walmart.
That is terrible. Do you know how many pairs of sweatpants? Like seriously, how many sweatpants sweatpants you get playing for Boise,
Hey,
you probably get a new pair a week.
probably, but
They used to unload on athletic gear at Virginia Tech. I had a friend that was a long snapper that got a backpack filled with goodies every other week.
Yeah.
Ajayi is not going to score high on the Wonderlic, I guess.
he was a true freshman too. Let's give him a little bit of break there.
No, he's 18. He's a man. He can figure some things out. So I talked a little bit and mentioned a little bit the second best running back name in college football this year would be Rock Thomas. Can anyone take a guess at who would be the best running back name in college football next year?
Yeah, it's the guy from UCLA.
So.
So Jamabo. Okay, you put him together with seriously the most amazing running back names in the history of college football this year. Rock Thomas, So Jamabo, Samaje Perine, and Nick Chubb. Doesn't get any better than that. You hit every single area. You hit all the categories. I honestly think that So Jamabo could take over Paul Perkins' role as starting running back, even though he led the Pac-10 or Pac-12 in rushing last season.
What makes you say that though? What wasn't Perkins good at? He caught tons of balls. Yeah, he broke long runs. He had 100-yard games all the time. Like I don't know. It's tough to poke holes in his game. No.
I mean, he's not a flashy player, and this is going to sound like.
Did he let you down in DFS? Is that the issue?
No, I tweeted one time, I think a week ago. Remember that time you played Paul Perkins for $2,500 on DraftKings? Because that was a thing 2 years ago. That actually happened. I mean, I don't know. I just don't feel like Perkins is the flashy player. So has the name. He's one of the top running backs, if not the top running back in Texas. Like, will he get the chance to start as the main guy week one? Probably not. But we've seen plenty of freshmen come out of nowhere and be studs. Nick Chubb, who would have imagined Nick Chubb would have had the year he had with Todd Gurley in front of him? And even with Todd Gurley running, he still got some carries and looked great and primed himself ready to go for a season. I mean, you're right. He had, 600-yard plus games. He had 26 catches. How much of that do you think is Brett Hundley's, him spreading the field a little bit, him running the ball a little bit, opening up some holes for Perkins?
Well, I think a lot of it is just the way that offense is run. It uses running backs like Perkins really well, guys who can flare out before the snap actually comes and then catch a pass immediately as soon as the ball snapped. Like I think Perkins is a really good fit for the offense. Obviously, I know absolutely nothing about So other than that he's like a super recruit. But I imagine that offense is pretty complex to pick up. Like it looks like it's tons of motion. But I don't know how many different plays there are, but it seems like there's a lot of little idiosyncrasies to it. So I don't know. I think it's a lot to put on a true freshman to beat out a top 15, top 20 running back in the country who really. I get where you're coming from. It's tough though.
Well, so where would you rank Paul Perkins? So you're ranking Paul Perkins top 15 in terms of 15. Running backs?
Mm-hmm. Top 15 or 20.
Yeah.
I wish I had done some more research on running backs in terms of we're going to do breaking news. We're going to do our own composite rankings for each position. We'll probably go what? You want to go top 20? I feel like top 15 to 20 is probably the max we want to do here, don't you think, for each position?
Way more.
I was gonna go at least 25.
25?
100.
Yeah. How many days off a week do you guys get?
We work jobs that don't require us to actually do work at work.
See, here's the thing. You don't have a day off when you work in what we're doing here. Like, you have to find time. You have to find time to do this.
What exactly do you guys do?
Let's
be real here, guys. Well, actually, you guys are both have full-time jobs and students still, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is hilarious that I'm the youngest one here and I'm not in school. And I haven't been in school in forever. I just find it ironic or funny or something. I don't know, some big word here.
Probably because I spent all this time doing all this college football stuff and not doing homework.
That's probably because you're always taking care of your made-up, created family on The Sims.
Oh.
So, I don't know. I think the So-So Jamabo is a name to put in your back pocket. I think he could do it. We'll get to the Perkins. I don't know where I'll rank Perkins, but I have to rank him semi-low if I like So-So Jamabo.
So you're going to have him in like 70th or something because you're going to have Jamabo up there in the top 20.
Okay, if we go 70th, then I'm going to put a hat in front of me and just pick some names out after like 35 or 40.
Any clowns can rank top 20 guys by just going on Google. I don't think we sell ourselves short like that.
All right, you know what? I accept that challenge, and you're completely right, Andrew. We're not some random guys that just say, this guy has the potential to score a touchdown against a bad running defense, like some particular people can do sometimes. Shots fired. Hashtag. Last situation we want to discuss, and one that kind of just popped up right before the show started because of a little bit of a talk between us, what we wanted to talk about here today. The Michigan State running back situation. I have this one pegged for one guy, but Zach wants to talk about another as a potential freshman player that could make an impact for Michigan State. Who is the freshman that you think has a chance to make an impact immediately for Michigan State?
LJ Scott, 6'1", 215. I mean, I think it's going to be up in the air who's going to take that job. It's kind of like the Auburn situation. You know, who's ever the hot guy at the time, you're just going to give him the ball, I would think.
I'm all over Delton Williams. I mean, he played plenty in games last season, and he would look great. I mean, I'm not saying this because I have him on my dynasty team, which was a pure luck of the draw, just picking a dude that I knew would probably get some carries in his final year or two. But, I mean, he looked great against teams. I mean, not that this is impressive at all, but he looked great against, I think it was Eastern Michigan. He even got some looking carries against Maryland, against Wyoming. I mean, not super impressive teams, but the fact that he got some carries, we've seen him run. He looks good to me. I mean, he's one of those bigger backs, 6'1", 228. That's what Michigan likes. Michigan State likes the guy that can run it 25 times. Lord knows Langford ran it a bunch. Andrew, in a situation like this, do you think D'Antonio is more likely to go with the freshman with the talent? Maybe the talented Scott has more talent than Delton Williams? Or do you think D'Antonio is going to go with a more predictable, safer running back that has some talent like Delton Williams?
I think he goes with Delton. I can't going back. I just can't think of a situation where a true freshman really got the carries at Michigan State. Like even Le'Veon didn't get him right away, right? It took a couple of years for that to happen. Didn't they start that linebacker before they started Langford? That Riley Boa or whatever, or his cousin or something.
I don't know. I'll have to look that up because
they started some guy before whatever Langford took the role, but I just don't see a situation where a true freshman's gonna get the carries at Michigan State.
Let's see here. Riley Boa.
I don't know if he'll get like the bulk of the carries. I think he might tap into them enough to make it more of a committee than just a one-man show.
That'll be interesting to see because I mean, with the way Michigan State uses running backs, that's like the prime fantasy, running back situation. I mean, if anytime you have a chance to get a guy like a Delton Williams or an LJ Scott with a full load with the way they run it, that's a situation you want,
right.
Especially in season long. Talk about capitalizing on the guy there. You get 12, 13 weeks of it. I hope it's Delton Williams, but we'll have to see. We got plenty of time between now and then. Some situations we talked about.
Let's say week one comes around, Delton Williams is announced as the starter, but D'Antonio says they're going to all get carries. And Delton Williams is maybe 5K on DraftKings. Let's see. I don't know who they play week one. But would you pay up for him?
I know they play Oregon early. I don't know who they play immediately. I'm looking it up, but
I'm looking it up right now.
They play Eastern Michigan in Week 1.
I'm
Or no,
100%.
Western Michigan.
I'm 100%
Western
taking
Michigan.
Devil Williams.
Who play him? Okay.
Yeah, I would at 5K. I mean, I'm not going to put him in like every lineup. I'd put him if I liked, let's say, I don't know, that 1 week Caminara's Payne was undervalued. I had him in like 85% of lineups. Just enough coverage just in case he blew up and
Yeah.
didn't do anything. I'd probably put Delton
Mhm.
Williams in like the 50 to 55% where, well, I'm covering myself just in case he runs for 130 yards but doesn't get any of the touchdowns because L.J. Scott comes in after a long drive kind of thing. You know how that goes.
Oh yeah.
But I have all the confidence in the world. I mean, I think he only had one double-digit carry game last year, and it was against Eastern Michigan, and he ran for 100 yards on 10 carries. Western Michigan is not one of those teams that's going to be great defensively. Sorry, Michigan State's got the bodies. They got all the better recruits from Michigan. That's just how it is. So,
Javorian, though.
what's up?
Javorian Franklin.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I think, is it Javorian or is it Jarvion?
Dude,
Probably Jarvion.
I like Javorian. I think we just roll with that.
I think
Javorian the DeLorean.
I was going to say, I think it's Jarvion, but I'm sorry, but Javorian sounds much cooler.
Yeah, I think so.
Going forward, it's Javorian.
All right, so before we get into a little bit Bovada MLB talk, a little bit of maybe some random chatter from Andrew. D. Coop wants to talk some Georgia Tech football. Something a little bit what we've talked about, Zach, in our Google Hangouts. We discussed a little bit how Boise is a successful team that doesn't get a whole lot of big recruits. Georgia Tech this past recruiting season, I guess, signed like 27 or 21 recruits, and they were all 3-stars. Something to just kind of mind-boggle you because they consistently, put up 8 to 9 wins. I think that's more of a system type thing, though, don't you think, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to coaching and a system that's in place because, I mean, you look at Boise since you're back to the Oklahoma Fiesta Bowl back, was that 2007 or whatever that was?
Don't act like you don't know that.
That is 2007, 2008. Anyway, you look at that team. Oklahoma on paper was dominant in every position, and Boise hung in there like punch for punch with them. And I feel like it comes down to coaching and getting the best out of the talent that you have is the best way I think you can put it. Because
Exactly.
Look at Alabama, and you have 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. Yeah, they should win. I mean, but they eventually lose games because I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if it's just they think they're going to win or
just better competition consistently, maybe. Zach?
I don't know. But
Andrew,
like,
you
Ole
got
Miss was
any
terrible.
thoughts on Georgia
I'm
Tech?
sorry.
I can't hear Zach talk about Boise anymore. He completely missed.
No, I was just going to ask
the
Zach
target
if he
there.
started doing his depth charts yet, because Georgia Tech has basically no one back except Justin Thomas. So if St. John Days is gone, both receivers, Smelter and Waller, are gone. Zach Lasky's gone. So
Is Waller gone too?
is he? I thought he was.
I mean, I haven't looked into it at all. Nobody looks into Georgia Tech receiver situations.
Well, regardless,
So-
the backfield's basically Justin Thomas and people with no experience. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that shakes out. Because there's always tons of potential there if they get a dive back who they go consistently with. That's 25 carries guaranteed a game.
So my sources close to me say Waller is gone. He was
Is
a
that
redshirt
D-Coop?
senior. That was D. Coop. Way to rattle off my sources, but you're right. They lose a lot, but to be fair, did you know who St. John Days was before week 8 of college football season?
I mean, they
Did
gave
you know Zach Lasky? I mean, I
20
get
carries
I
to
totally get it, but the way Paul Johnson's offense is,
Yeah. My question was more just if Zach started doing his depth charts or no.
no. I don't do that till after spring ball.
Fine.
whatever, Zach. You know what? You're no fun with your reasonable thinking and your
Yes.
voice better.
Sorry, D Coop. We got no specs for you today.
Breaking news: Broderick Snoddy another guy with a ridiculous name will be the next relevant running back for Georgia Tech, is what they call the consistent, well, I guess it would be the next consistent dive back. What kind of running back is that? B back? What is it position? Is that the B back? All right, so I have the Bovada page pulled up for MLB total wins. Zach, do you follow MLB much? I know you're in a city that doesn't have an MLB team, but
You don't want me to talk about Major League Baseball.
Zach, who was the best player in baseball the last time you cared about baseball?
Barry Bonds.
How early in Barry Bonds' career was it?
Well, basically the year he broke the home run record.
Okay, so not like too far off. Pretty
No,
far away, but not too far off.
You know what? I'm gonna go on a little tangent here. Back when Major League Baseball acted like steroids were not a thing, and now all of a sudden they are. Like, oh, we have to start banning people from baseball when they knew all well that it was going on. But that's just my opinion.
I totally knew you were going there on that one. Once you talked about Barry Bonds and you said you were going to go off on tangent. All right, Andrew, I have the worst team in the MLB according to Bovada. Don't cheat. Do not cheat, Andrew. Who do you think the worst team in baseball will be this year according to Bovada?
I saw that like the Twins are bottom 3. So who's the bottom? I'm gonna go with Diamondbacks.
Houston Astros.
Diamondbacks are close. They're the bottom 3 as well, or like 4th, I think. Where's Houston at? Houston is not that bad. 74.5 wins. A team
Really?
close to you,
Me?
Andrew,
Oh.
is 68.5 wins.
The Phillies.
The Philadelphia Phillies, 68.5 wins.
Jesus.
I love hearing that. That sounds great.
And they're
Do you
trading
think-
Hamels to the Red Sox, right? Isn't that like a thing going on right now?
Not really, but
was
possible.
gonna say-
It's just
I
rumors.
saw it on ESPN today, and I just thought I'd say something.
Yeah.
There you go. Acting like you know a whole lot about MLB.
I used to love watching like just statistics in
traded-
baseball. I don't care.
I just traded my keeper league tonight. I traded Corey Dickerson for Mookie Betts in a draft pick. So,
You lost me with the whole keeping thing there. I don't get that far into it.
yeah.
I just can't. Who do you think? This is pretty much an easy one for someone who follows baseball like you, Andrew. Who do you think there's 2 teams tied with the most wins on Bovada, 92.5. Who do you think they'll be?
Dodgers.
Yep.
Okay. And
There's another team.
Nationals.
Oh, look at Zach coming to play. Coming to play. All right, so we have a few minutes here. Andrew, did you want to talk some of these off-topic type subjects, or did you want to just call it a day?
so that guy, like how we were talking earlier, that guy Kevin McGuire tweeted out how you can download the NCAA rosters for this upcoming year, and I did it, and it's not. It doesn't seem. Maybe I used the wrong users rosters or something. So it's pretty good, but it's not up to date. But these people, dude, who are working on this they make Zach look like an 8th grader. It's unreal. They're dude, they're like the one guy put together a lengthy essay about how they have an established team of people putting together these rosters, and they're not letting someone who just to go make a contribution. They only let people who they have like a well-known resume of like their college football informed history, like make a contribution to these updated NCAA rosters. Like it's disgusting.
It's
like
sickening.
it's almost too much for me, but like I love it.
Oh, this is the site I used to download my rosters.
Operation Sports. These people
Yeah,
are twisted,
man.
dude.
I've contributed
This
to these
thread is
forums
3
before.
pages long. What'd you say?
I said I've contributed to this forum before.
Doesn't surprise me.
So, I want to talk about a little bit something off topic. I heard this on 680 The Fan, the AM sports talk radio station in Atlanta. And did you guys see the almost Valentine's Day prank Delaney Walker's fiance / ex-fiance put on his Instagram?
I think I might have, but I don't remember it. What is it?
It's long, but it's pretty much she goes into it acting like she is talking as him. So she posted a picture of them together, and she's pregnant, but you can't tell from the photo. And it's pretty much like, this is my girlfriend, fiance of 10 years. I broke up with her just a few days ago, like I do every February, because I have no self-control in the off season. I'm a celebrity, and she no longer looks good enough for my image while I'm not playing football. She's also 4 months pregnant, so I figured it was the perfect time to take advantage of her. I've been canoodling around Nashville like a whore, telling everyone that I'm single, even though we plan this child, and have been asking her to marry me for the past 5 years. Blah, blah, blah. It goes into more stuff like that. Could you imagine him? I mean, not that Delaney Walker doesn't deserve it. If this is all true, he deserves it. Could you imagine a worse Valentine's Day than Delaney Walker getting packed on Instagram with a picture of his ex-fiance, and at the end he's like, she's like, all jokes aside, surprise, Delaney, you are having a girl. Congratulations. Straight getting roasted on his own Instagram.
I give her credit.
You thought you had a bad Valentine's Day. People, you are completely wrong. Delaney Walker was called out. And I'm going to post that actually in the chat.
Are we doing this again on next Monday?
I hope. I don't know. I mean, I want to.
Well, I figure if I put you on the spot on air, you can't back out like you always do.
Whoa. Whoa. You know what? I want to do it the last day of Lou Dog's life.
We can tell Adam what we really think about him.
Yeah, that'll happen. That is on Saturday night. I think I work Sunday night or Sunday, so I should be free. I can commit for a Saturday night, so I'm pretty positive.
Yeah, this is like a week and a half. Yeah, I can.
Yeah. I mean, I would do it Sunday. Like the site's moving on at noon. Andrew says on March 1st. I didn't know that, but I would do it like 11 a.m. to noon and just like say goodbye, and the website like is gone as we say goodbye. But I think the day before would work well if you guys are down.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
All right. Well, some of the other ones I wrote some more down, these more situations, and one of them I just added was the Minnesota running back situation. They have a really good freshman coming in. I forget the name, but something like Bama quarterback, Boise State's quarterback. And I actually wrote down the names, blah or blah blah, to be Boise State's quarterback, and then stuff like Arizona State's running back situation, the Tennessee running back situation, which I think could be a little bit messier than people think. And obviously UCLA has to replace Brett Hundley. Who will it be with? And then a situation like, will Leonard Fournette finally get, or will a LSU quarterback finally get legitimate carries? And this year it would be Leonard Fournette, who certainly deserves a full workload, that's for sure.
Don't worry about the fun, dude. We'll get into it.
We'll get into it. It'll be fun. Hopefully the day before we rest in peace as Lou Dogs. It should be a fun venture, though, a fun move. Thank you everybody for joining. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and have a good night.